وكفى وسلام على عباده الذين اصطفى أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم ولا تهنوا ولا تحزنوا وأنتم الأعلون إن كنتم مؤمنين إن يمسسكم قرح فقد مس القوم قرح مثله وتلك الأيام نداولها بين الناس وليعلم الله الذين آمنوا ويتخذ منكم شهداء والله لا يحب الظالمين وليمحص الله الذين آمنوا ويمحق الكافرين أم حسبتم أن تدخلوا الجنة ولما يعلم الله الذين جاهدوا منكم ويعلم الصابرين ولقد كنتم تمنون الموت من قبل أن تلقوه فقد رأيتموه وأنتم تنظرون صدق الله العظيم وبلغنا رسوله النبي الكريم ونحن على ذلك من الشاهدين والشاكرين والحمد لله رب العالمين. So after giving advice to Muslims about not only following Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala but also following the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and to spend in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rather than being greedy about collecting mal, and telling them a remedy to all their sins which is istighfar, and promising Jannah and Maghfirah in return for all these things, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is returning to the discussion of Uhud. And in Uhud, as we had said that there was three primary reasons why there was an apparent defeat to Muslims. Number one was that they had a rift among themselves. The Jama'ah, the group that was set by the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, stationed to on the small mound to take care of anyone attacking the Muslim army from the back. They had a rift, they had a ikhtilaf among them, and this was the one reason, the first reason why Muslims were given an apparent defeat by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The second reason was that Muslims did not obey the order of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which the ulama have said was the primary reason for defeat. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was teaching them a lesson that no matter how pious you are, no matter how good and high of an act that you are doing, which is such as jihad in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if you go against the order of this Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, there will be hardship upon you. Anyway, so after all this discussion, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that now consoling the Muslims, وَلَا تَهِنُوا وَلَا تَحْزَنُوا وَأَنْتُمُ الْأَعْلَوْنَ إِن كُنتُم مُؤْمِنِينَ. Do not lose heart, وَلَا تَهِنُوا, do not lose heart, وَلَا تَحْزَنُوا, do not have huzn or do not grieve. وَأَنْتُمُ الْأَعْلَوْنَ إِن كُنتُم مُؤْمِنِينَ, and you are the uppermost if you are believers. So if you continue to believe, sooner than later Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you an upper hand again. إِن يَمْسَسْكُمْ قَرْحٌ فَقَدْ مَسَّ الْقَوْمَ قَرْحٌ مِثْلُهُ. If you have received a wound, they have received a similar wound. So in Badr, 70 people from among the side of the kuffar had been killed. And here in Uhud, 70 people from the Muslim side had been martyred. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that you are facing defeat now. And imagine the conditions. Al Mufassirin have written in detail the condition that was of the Muslims at this time. Because if we have that picture in our mind, the Prophet ﷺ is wounded, the Sahaba are wounded, they are tired, they have just faced a defeat. Many of the key Sahaba are lying in front of them, or they are collecting their dead, their bodies. People, giants like Sayyidina Hamza radiallahu anh, Abu Ubaidah ibn Jarrah, if I remember correct, he also, or one of the Sahaba, a list of key Sahaba is mentioned who were very brave among the Sahaba. They passed away in this battle. They were martyred in this battle. So these people, imagine the state that try to picturize the state, and then these ayat are being given. That do not lose heart, you will have an upper hand again. If there has been damage done to you, if you have received this wound today, the qawm of kuffar, the people, the non-believers have also got this wound in the past. So last year they had this wound, today or this year you got this wound. وَتِلْكَ الْأَيَّامُ نُدَاوِلُهَا بَيْنَ النَّاسِ. Such days we rotate among the people. And this is from this Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told a rule that hardship is. Plenty, abundance, scarcity. Happiness, sorrow. These kind of things keep on rotating in this world. This is the world that these things will keep on rotating, even if you are the Sahaba of the Prophet ﷺ, even if you are the closest of the Prophet ﷺ. These things, this is a principle of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keeps on rotating. And there is many wisdoms behind it. Some wisdoms the ulama have written behind Uhud and this apparent defeat is, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is mentioning here, وَلِيَعْلَمَ اللَّهُ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَيَتَّخِذَ مِنْكُمْ شُهَدَاءَ. The first that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned is that so that Allah may know those who believe. So in times of hardship, the reason why hardship is rotated with ease is that who among you is going to be steadfast on their iman even in the days of hardship. وَلِيَعْلَمَ, the literal translation would be so that Allah may know. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala already knows. The reason is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes it apparent over others as well. وَيَتَّخِذَ مِنْكُمْ شُهَدَاءَ, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala may let some of you be martyrs. So after Badr, Muslims had gone with a very significant desire, a serious desire. They had come with a serious desire to become martyrs for the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? But very few of them became martyrs in Badr. And when the Prophet ﷺ told them the great bounties of the people who die in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Sahaba who were not martyred developed their desire to become martyrs in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala even increased further. And they expressed this desire. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala fulfilled their desire next year in Uhud. Wallahu la yuhibbu al-zalimin, and do not think that these people have become beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. No, the sinners, the zalimin, the kuffar, the mushrikeen, they are never the beloved of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So them getting victory should not make you think that they have become the beloved of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and that is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given them victory. No, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves the Muslims. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves the believers. So from this we also learn that in this world, if someone is doing very good, if someone is in terms of worldly means, in terms of having an upper hand, even if they constantly have that upper hand, that does not mean that they are the beloved of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The beloved of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are who? In kuntum mu'minin, if you are believers. So the believers will always be the beloved of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَلِيُمَحِّصَ اللَّهُ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَيَمْحَقَ الْكَافِرِينَ. And the other purpose that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned here is, and so وَلِيُمَحِّصَ اللَّهُ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا, so that Allah may purify those who believe, وَيَمْحَقُ الْكَافِرِينَ, and eradicate the believers. So how was this purity given? That the people, for example, when we read, even when they started from Medina, there was a clear distinction between, at this point, between the people who were pure in their iman, steadfast in their iman, and those who had nifaq or hypocrisy in their heart. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala purified the believers. And by fighting in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, their sins were forgiven, and through shahada, the sins were forgiven, and Muslims became pure. وَيَمْحَقَ الْكَافِرِينَ, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will eradicate the believers through this. How? Apparently, the disbelievers are getting a victory, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to eradicate them. The reason Hazrat Mufassirin have written to, number one, because of doing cruelty and killing Muslims, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will increase their punishment in the hereafter. These people who fought the Muslims. The second thing is that after this victory, they will become much more confident, and they will come very confidently again, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give a very clear open victory and they will be eradicated. أم حسبتم أن تدخلوا الجنة ولما يعلم الله الذين جاهدوا منكم ويعلم الصابرين. Do you think that you shall enter Jannah, paradise, وَلَمَّا يَعْلَمِ اللَّهُ الَّذِينَ جَاهَدُوا? Again, the meaning of يَعْلَم would be that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes it apparent before the eyes of everyone. That even before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows those of you who carry out jihad and those who are steadfast. Jihad, of course, the first meaning is qital fi sabilillah. The other meaning that Hazrat Mufassirin have went with is that you have to struggle to get Jannah. So if you are thinking that you will get Jannah and you will get higher status in Jannah without jihad, without fighting in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that is not going to happen. The principle of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts hardships, and Hazrat Ulama Ikram have explained that there's some people who cannot attain a higher level or status in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by a lot of obedience. So what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts hardships upon them and gives them sabr or patience. So through that way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala elevates their status. So these all things you fight, you struggle in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you have sabr in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that will give you Jannah. So don't think that you will enter Jannah without any hardships. You will live a very comfortable life free of any hardship, and you will also enter Jannah. وَلَقَدْ كُنْتُمْ تَمَنَّوْنَ الْمَوْتَ مِنْ قَبْلِ أَنْ تَلْقَوْهُ فَقَدْ رَأَيْتُمُوهُ وَأَنْتُمْ تَنْظُرُونَ. You had longed for death before you faced it. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is addressing the Sahaba that you had longed for death after Badr. Before you faced it, now you have seen it. فَقَدْ رَأَيْتُمُوهُ. Now you have seen it with your eyes. وَأَنْتُمْ تَنْظُرُونَ. With your eyes wide open. So you had asked for Shahada. Here is Shahada for you. In this, Hazrat Ulama have also mentioned a very fine point, that asking for death itself, especially for a good reason, when somebody longs to die in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that has not been negated. But it has been shown that it is not an easy thing. It is something that carries hardship. So asking for death for worldly purposes is prohibited. Longing for death to die in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has not been negated here. It is a recommended thing, something that is preferable. But it should be understood that it carries hardship. So the process carries hardship. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us afiyah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the highest level in Jannah with minimal effort. سمعنا وأطعنا غفرانك ربنا وإليك المصير. صلى الله تعالى على خير خلقه سيدنا مولانا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. آمين برحمتك.